Okay, so I was just on live, and if you have ever tried to go live on YouTube, it can be a pain, it can be a pain. But I'm doing this now and recording it on Zoom, and then I'm just going to post it so that way I don't have any interruptions and I can get this transmission to you guys. So I was planning on giving a transmission and then opening up the show to any live readings that you guys want. If you have any questions, I was going to say drop it in the comment box, and you can. I was going to do a discount, one question for 10, two for 15. We're not doing that anymore. This is going to be pre-recorded and put up. So after the fact, please drop a comment, share, subscribe, like, let me know your thoughts. If you have any questions that are about this content that you want me to elaborate more on or maybe make a short on, go ahead and do that in the comment box. I'll try to get to everyone. And then I will keep the same promotion going. So if you are watching this, today is November 9th. Today only, one question for $10, two questions for 15, 3-minute answers. You can go ahead and reach out to me via email, shoot me a text, 214-937-9132. I'm on WhatsApp. You can also email me, jojo@jojoempathic.com, and privately ask your question, and you send your payment that way. I'm not doing it on live. Live wasn't working today. Not it. But I will keep that promotion. Today, it's really important that I am sharing a message on the up and coming transits that we have been feeling for quite some time and that are playing out this week. Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Jordan Johnson. I'm a psychic medium from jojoempathic.com. I give readings, healings. I teach healers, mystics, and psychics. You can see all of my current offers at jojoempathic.com. Now, let's dive into this transmission. I really hope that it brings hope and optimism and helps people to have some clarity about the symbology and the patterns that we are all feeling right now and the energies. Because what I'm seeing is a lot of exhaustion across the board, a lot of depression, anxiety, panic. There is a lot of fear right now. So watch until the end, and this may help to bring some sense of relief and answers to what is actually happening. Okay, and I want to help you to recognize these patterns and to be able to speak on them freely and to be able to deeply think and close your eyes and see for yourself. So work with me. You can book a reading, a healing, or spiritual development session with me at jojoempathic.com. Okay, so now that all of that's out of the way, I have to go back because I'm on page 2. I just channeled the long transmission. This is something that has just recently been put on my heart to share. I did get kind of right to it. So I think it was like last week, Spirit told me I'd be speaking on this. So I'll kind of share how that all went down and why I'm here today, because when I look into it, I feel very positive about 3i Atlas. So I'll share that with you guys here. Let's go ahead and start with the science. Let's start with the logic. Now I'm getting this information, these facts, from NASA, right from NASA's.gov website. You can check out yourself. I'm not going to get into conspiracy or my opinion on what I feel about NASA, okay, or science. I'm not. So let's get into what science is telling us. Okay, so 3i Atlas was supposedly alleged, right? 3i Atlas was discovered the beginning of July 25. So this past summer, I believe it was like July 1st. Okay. NASA created a program, from my understanding, that these different departments are located, I believe, around the world. The one that found this comet was in Chile. But they created this program called the Asteroid Terrestrial Last Impact Alert System to catch objects in our solar system when needed. By the name of that, the Last Impact Alert System, it sounds like NASA created this to try to prevent anything in our orbit from hitting Earth or affecting Earth, or to give us some sort of alert system to let us know that something's coming in, that we need to be warned, or we need to look up and see what's happening, or whatever. We need to prepare. Okay, so 3I Atlas got its name because it's the third known interstellar object detected passing through our solar system. So interstellar means that it originated, they're claiming, outside of our solar system. Now they're saying also that there's no real threat to Earth. They're giving us 170 million miles of a distance between this comet and us. Depending on where you are in the world, that's 270 kilometers between us and this comet. And the closest to the sun was on October 30th at about 130 million miles away. And moving forward, it should reappear for us to observe from Earth on the other side of the sun in the beginning of December. So let's go ahead and talk about asteroids and comets from a spiritual perspective. We can look through the Bible, we can look into Hinduism, many different religions, ancient tribes across the world have honored and respected the sky. Okay. Modern day Christianity will shame and demonize astrology. They are, if you believe that, you're not really reading the actual text, which is talking all about the sky and the stars. And the symbology of astrology is woven all throughout that mystic's language of sacred scripts. Okay, so comets and asteroids have throughout time, according to us mystics, the prophets, prophetesses, the seers, the ministers, we have always seen comets and asteroids as divine messengers, okay, from the heavens. Comets and asteroids have long been known to represent illumination, so shining light on darkness, bringing things to the forefront. I really feel that comets and asteroids bring us into a sense of presence, because if you think about it, when there's something going on in the sky, what do? We look up and we observe. So the phenomena in the sky brings us into the present moment. It gets us out of our cell phones, our technology, out of ourselves, and it makes us present. It brings us with nature, with God. It connects us with time in the present moment. It brings us into this presence of there's something larger than us at play. It makes us deeply think, okay, what is this? Where is this coming from? How does this even happen? Comets and asteroids have always been symbols of transformation and major change, purification through the fire, through the flame. So we could see comets and asteroids meaning karmic change, soul activations, contracts being activated. When I say contracts, often this is relational between you and yourself, you and spirit, you and different relationships with people. This could be work partnerships, marriage. This can be bringing on of children. You know, it goes on and on. Soul contracts will be activated with and under these transits of comets and asteroids. It's also, whenever anything changes or anything is disrupted, there's usually periods of deep emotional transformation and energetic purging of old stagnant energy that doesn't serve. So if you have followed astrology, or you have an astrologist, or you are one, you know the importance of asteroids to certain astrologers. I am not an astrologer. I'm learning astrology. I do give natal chart readings that are more intuitive than actual. I never took a certification or training on how to read natal charts, self-taught and spirit-led. And this year I've actually looked into and took a class on how to read the asteroids. Okay, so asteroids are really cool. Like you'll find the names of your dog, your kids, your partner, the location that you were born, the city name where your business is, where you're moving to. I mean, it is insane. Your business name. Asteroids are so specific. And so if you didn't know, in spirituality, we have a destiny charted future and a free will future. It's not linear. So an example of destiny charted physical manifestation would be like, I'm born as a woman at a location. My name is Jordan, to these parents. That's destiny. Now, the free will comes in with what I do with my avatar and my character and the stimulation is up to me. And throughout our lives, there are timelines that are marked by what we would call destiny. It will happen. You know, your actions, your choices will lead to these certain markers. And, you know, if you suffer on the way there, that's your choice. If you're skipping and happy on the way there, you probably have a lot more abundance to get to that point. It's up to you. So we have free will and we have destiny. And comets and asteroids really signify destiny timelines and changes and moments, okay? So it will happen. How we get there is up to us. That's symbolically the meaning of an asteroid. So if you're seeing dreams with comets going in or flying by, um, that can be what your soul, your subconscious is trying to tell you. All of those things are about to happen. You can ask spirit, can I get a date? Can I know what to do? I'm thinking about handling it this way. You could start to tap in and see what the possible paths would lead to if you make that choice versus this choice. This is how you maximize your prosperity with intuitive intelligence. Now, how did I get involved with this? So it's really interesting. I was in a session, I want to say about a week or two ago, with a good friend and client. Okay, so I've been working with this client for years. We've actually become very good friends. And a dream was shared in the session. And my client was given significant dates, November 10th and the 11th. Now, at this time, I was not involved with the 3i Atlas at all. I had saw the talk on YouTube, and I think I was seeing more of like the extraterrestrial conspiracy and all of that, and I did not look into it. Okay, I didn't even know really until I want to say maybe the end of October about this being like a comet. Okay, so I had no interest. So when I'm with my client in the session, the dream was shared and we were given the dates. So I tap in almost blindly. Okay. And when I tapped in, I closed my eyes and I asked, I said, what is this about? And I saw this huge fireball across the sky. I came back and I said, it's a comet. And then, is the bluebird blue? We start to discuss 3i Atlas. So it was just crazy how like you can close your eyes and see evidential facts and mediumship and truths from your higher mind, from your 3i. Okay, that's where this is all going to end up to, and I can't wait to get to that point. And that's your birthright. I'm not special. I'm not different. I do feel I have an anointing, but through my anointing, I'm called to help everyone to tap into your innate communication system so that you can guide yourself. You don't have to pay out a psychic or a medium. Tell me what to do. What does this mean? What does my dream mean? Okay. That's for you in spirit to have a relationship and understand. It's for you to understand the discernment of the language of spirit that you can't avoid. You can deny, but you can't avoid spirit, and not for long. Okay. So understanding the language is incredibly important, and that's something that I actually work with clients to do and to investigate themselves. And you do it through the clairs, your senses. Okay. You just turn on your senses. Say, oh, I don't have that. No, you have it. It's just maybe not turned on. And a lot of times we can see in childhood it activated and then we closed it ourselves. So don't disempower yourself by saying, I can't see or I can't hear from the spirit realm. Don't even go there. So I decided to dive a little bit deeper and I realized that this date aligns with what I had just saw, which is a comet that's actually passing through at this time. So I asked, what does this really fundamentally mean? I was open to hearing if it was about extraterrestrials. I'm woo-woo, you guys. You guys know that. I'm very woo-woo. I'm Aquarius sun. So, this is, if ETs and all of that are definitely something that I'm so into, but that's not what I received. It was very simple what Spirit said back. It's a timeline shift. So 3i Atlas is all about a major timeline shift. I mean, you could have told me that if you've been following astrology, the news, prophecy, like such as the Hopi prophecy, understanding that we're in Pluto and Aquarius. So all of this, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm sharing this message today is November 9th because it's about to get intensified this week, and I'll tell you why. So this week, I did not know this last week, but just found out this weekend. We have a major switch in fate astrologically with the transit of Jupiter retrograde flowing to Saturn. This is on 11/11 this week, okay? And depending on where you are in the world and the time. And this shift will take place around 25 degrees Cancer, 9 degrees, I believe, and then go, I'm not an astrologer, but, and then go direct again March 10th or 11th, 2026, okay? So why is this significant? I want to backtrack to what I just said. This Jupiter-Saturn cycle is super significant because it's a twist of fate. Things will flip and rapid change will begin to happen. This is going to be a catapulted week, the sky says, the heavens say, to bring us the change we've been waiting for. So there's the first drop of hope, okay? First, give me a thumbs up, put a happy face in the comment if you've been struggling. I know a lot of people have been exhausted and feeling very hopeless, and we don't want to give into the darkness. This is the time that you really fight the dark and you lean into the light. You lean into the higher truths. There's so many truths in the world. We as humans cannot believe that. There must be one truth. There's many truths. So lean into the higher truth to get you through these times. And that's exactly what I help clients to do and worldwide. So book a session with me privately and we will dive into that. So let's break down the symbology again. So mediumship is symbology that nature speaks. Mediumship is the symbology that spirit speaks to us. So there's different levels of, you could say, consciousness. And so certain ways that spirit would speak or we'd interpret it would be through allegory, metaphor, story of like, you know, Snow White and like all of these mythical stories that have deep symbology, Alice in Wonderland. You could change someone's mind through that type of mediumship. It's cryptic. It speaks to the soul. There's a part of you, your third eye, will be able to interpret the higher truth based on the symbol that you see. So symbology is super important in mediumship. Jupiter, astrology. Symbolically, Jupiter is the planet we like to see. Jupiter brings us themes of massive expansion, faith, belief, and growth. Okay. Saturn is symbolic of structure, responsibility, karma, long-term change, long-term outcome. All of the steps and structure and plan needed for long-term grounded foundational change. Saturn is the master of the sky in long-term game plan setting. So when Jupiter and Saturn overlap like this, here's the question I want you to ask yourself this week. Get a pen out now. Write this down. I have some dates for you guys too. I want you to ask yourself, especially if you're feeling this negatively, you're purging, you're emotional, you're cutting things out, like habits and friends and places and people and work. I want you to sit down and ask, how do we rebuild something massive and meaningful? How do we rebuild with new foundations that actually support us and carry us out in the long run? These are the questions you want to ask yourself and ask spirit. Now I'm going to go over some ways that we can work with this energy even deeper. Okay, so it starts with that question. Let's go deeper to maximize prosperity with the energies at play in the sky, in the heavens. I want you to ask, write this one down. I want you to say, Spirit, show me where I am still compromising My truth for safety, companionship, security, meaning in some way, X, Y, Z, fill in the blank. Let me repeat that. Spirit, show me where I am still compromising my truth for X, Y, and Z. It's going to show you a lot. That'll reveal a lot to you. Not only where you're selling yourself short. I was just talking to a friend this past week about the prostitute archetypal energy that the best medical intuitive out there, I'll claim, Caroline Mice, I call her the Great, claims is an innate archetypal energy that we all hold. We all hold it. We love to judge the prostitute. But here's the reality of a great mystic that worked with a neurosurgeon for years and wrote countless books and has so much recognition, claims that we all have it within ourselves. And I see it too. I see it too. A lot of us can't be honest that we sell ourselves for things, but we do. So I want you to question yourself. Where are you selling yourself short? Where are you going and giving your power away because it's a promise of X, Y, and Z? That's not really X, Y, and Z. It's false light, false stability, false security, false love. It's not real. It's not real companionship. It feels like it, but it's not. It's not reciprocal. It's false, false light. And that's why it's not working out for you. That's why the door closed. It's not punishment, but it's showing you that you are extending yourself. You're overgiving yourself. You're settling in a direction of a false light. You win and you receive prosperity by seeing the need that drives you in that direction. And then you feed that need. You give yourself that need. So I'm going in this direction because I feel now I've got some sense of security when I do this. I got to go do this because now I have safety. Now I have companionship, but it doesn't feel like companionship, doesn't feel like stability, doesn't feel like security, but I'm going to still play along with it because I'm scared, because I'm in fear. Does this resonate with you? And anyway, we tend to sell ourselves to the false light for false security, false contracts with lots of terms and conditions, titles, and that were typically indoctrinated upon us. I'm going over here and doing this because I have to have a husband, because my parents put this pressure on me to get married young, and I've got to have the kids, and da 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 da. So I've got to sell myself here and be with this person that I don't really want to be with. I've got to work this job so I can have this home, but it's not even stable. It's not even secure. I've got to go work this job for this boss who yells at me every day so I can have a paycheck, but I'm always still short because I'm still in a scarcity mindset, regardless of how much money's coming in. You see, we do this left and right. And there's three main areas that I'm going to talk about with the 3i Atlas today that are going to shift, and you should hop on board. And these are the things you can do to help with these three areas that will shift through destiny for humanity on Earth. And one is relationships, two is mindset, and the third is unity consciousness. So let's start with relationships. I'll touch on it briefly. I want you to remember that blood is not thicker than water. That is an indoctrinated belief. That is somebody saying how they believe a tribe, a family, or society should operate. You have to get that, because blood is not thicker than water for everyone. Many people are rejected in their mother's womb, off rip, given away at birth, and for whatever reason. But I'm leaning more into the reason of it not being wanted. A person, a child not being wanted. That exists and more than you would think. What also happens more than you would think is that families do stay together and they take each other out. They take each other out. We see it with toxic marriages, left and right. The woman is sick. He's out cheating. They both have to drink themselves to sleep every day, get high on the cocaine and marijuana every day because life is unbearable and miserable. This is real. This is common. Blood is not thicker than water. Now, I know I used a couple analogy. They're not blood, but they are family. And this is super common. So we bring it back home to blood. What's one of the root causes of our suffering on this planet today? Broken homes, tribe members turning against one another, separating one another, not able to forgive among one another, not supporting one another, lifting each other up. Families are in turmoil. And so if you're hearing this message today and that's you, you're in immense amount of grief over the loss of loved ones that are still alive, that you may not even be in contact with. And that grief is eating you alive. Is blood really thicker than water when it's keeping? I always think of Erykah Badu and like Bag Lady. All of those rocks in your backpack, as you try to move up the mountain, you're just carrying all these bags of grief, of unresolved neglect and abuse with your folks will never change. And you're holding on to that will keep you small your whole life. You'll miss opportunities. You'll miss times of where you could be promoted. If you hold on to this concept that you need some title in your life, that is indoctrination. Sometimes the healthy route is to take a step back from family, set healthy boundaries, cut cords so you're not ruminating, forgive with peace, and let go. That is the healthy way, and you weren't taught it. You weren't taught how to have boundaries in a healthy way. You didn't see it from mom and dad. They crossed boundaries and they promote their kids to do the same. A lot of times in the home and family, we're also parents, elders will promote that you should sacrifice yourself for other members of the tribe over and over and over again. And this is how people live lives where they have to be on depression medication just to be. They go towards careers because it brings privilege or it brings honor to their family versus really their authentic desires and missions. Okay? Don't get twisted right now. This is not the time to keep trying to go down a dead end road. And the choice is yours. A lot of times with family, it can take 5 years to a decade for us to get it. We've tried the counseling, we've wrote the letters, we've had the argument. You get to a point where you don't have to have the last word. You get to the point where you don't need the closure because you see the truth. This is the point of where real healing takes place, and I'm trying to get this to somebody here. There's a choice there from that time, that moment. Healing is continual. When you're there, you do the right thing for yourself and you choose kindness to yourself and love for yourself. And you let go. Anything that's truly yours will come back to you. You can guarantee that. When people have attitude adjustments and they go through life and it changes them, they tend to retract. They tend to finally collect themselves, check themselves, correct themselves, and they come back. And you have to trust that. And that's where real faith comes in. Because you staying in these relationships, and there's some of us that are in relationships that are not no contact, but that grief is still like a boulder on your back. Let it go. And that's where I want to start this transmission. 3i Atlas is a massive timeline shift that will bring a massive reaction to what's owed. You could consider this week, you'll really start to see karmic payout. For some, this will look like reward. For others, this will look like consequences. This is the time to make the choices you've been holding off doing. Have you noticed lately that the coping mechanisms you've been using are no longer working? The patterns of that you've been operating in just are no longer working. It's catching up to you. Karma is coming quick for you when you flick somebody off on the road because they cut you off, and then all of a sudden you get a flat tire 5 minutes later. Is that ringing a bell for anybody here today? You notice? It's happening to us all. Okay, there's a heavy hand on us to change because it's needed, and human nature tends to hold on to things because of indoctrination that bring us some sort of something to either cope or feel needed or loved or respected. We have to see through it. With this Jupiter Saturn cycle, there's going to be a massive surge of growth, blessings, and adventure. So this is the time to go big now, Spirit says. This week, mark your calendar. Tomorrow, Tuesday, depending on where you are in the world, we're looking at November 10th and 11th. So when this airs today on the 9th, some people that will see this will already be into this portal timeline. You've been activated. So these are some dates I want you to write down and think about in your meditation. So you've already been activated, but right now and I want to say into October it hit, everybody's exhausted. Everybody's feeling this. We're trying in directions and doors are closing. It's just not working. And you deep down know why. But you're not doing what Spirit has called you to do, to let go of that addiction, to get out of that marriage, to let go of that job, to stop self-harming and self-sabotaging, to get some hypnotherapy and change your mind. Get some hypnotherapy and rewire the subconscious mind. A lot of times we say the affirmations over and over and over again. I am wealthy, I am abundant, I am prosperous. But some of us have had so much trauma in childhood, heavy hands from parents that say, you're not. No, this isn't. This way, not that way. It's usually childhood wounds that make subconscious programming very difficult. So if you've done the work, you've awakened, you've got therapy and help, and it's been years since you really embarked on this healing journey, and you feel you're more in the integration period, but you just can't manifest. It's usually symbolic of a significant amount of trauma that has been done in programming to the mind. So for those individuals, it takes a little bit more time for your subconscious to rewire because the ego, or there's a part of you that's so loud. Every time you're telling yourself, I am abundant, I am wealthy, it says, no, you're not. Look at all the scarcity. Look at all the lack. So it's not that you're sick. It's not that something's wrong with you. It's that there has been such a programming, it just takes a little bit more time to get yourself out of it. And hypnotherapy is one of the best ways to rewire your subconscious mind. Now, it's so significant because the subconscious mind, we live in a hologram, we live in a stimulation, the 3I, it's projecting out into the matrix, into the stimulation. I'll take a break here real quick. So in a good example of astrology, you have a sun sign, a moon sign, and a rising sign based on your natal chart. I'm Aquarius. So the sun sign is your puppet master. So Aquarius is running the puppet. Me here in the third dimension is Scorpio rising and a Leo moon. So I'm a lioness and a scorpion. That's my avatar. Thankfully, with those signs, it's run by an Aquarian energy. Do you follow me? Do you follow those archetypal patterns? Understanding of how that works. So it's the same for your mind. Your subconscious is the puppet master. of the avatar, which is you in the physical third dimensional reality. So you work with rewiring the subconscious mind, you'll have a different physical manifestation. Your reality is the way it is because of your thoughts. As within, so without. As above, so below. You're made of the sky, you're made of the earth. It's all within you. Solar system is within. This comet is passing through you. Write these dates down, okay? I want you to think back to spring and summer of 2017. Did your world change then? Let me know. I know mine did. Huge change. And it was so abundant. I want you to think of the archetypal patterns of that time. I'll give you an example based on me. At that time, I had secured a job that promoted me big time, not just financially, but in understanding myself on a higher level in terms of my confidence, my abilities, my skills. This has nothing to do with spirituality. In a sense, it was very, logical, negotiation, sales, marketing, that type of work. It brought my skills to the forefront. It showed me who I am and my small potential. Did you have anything like that in 2017 and then you weren't ready to hold that wealth? You weren't ready to hold that marriage. You weren't ready to hold that stability. Here's the take home here. You'll have numerous soulmates. And men, I say this to men very often. If you look back at your life, your most wealthiest moments were with a woman. When a woman was by your side, a woman helped to raise you up or give you the idea for the business, worked alongside you and brought in that money. But with, I wouldn't say the wrong soulmate, certain karmic ones, you'll lose all the wealth. You'll burn through the money because you can't hold it. You can't anchor it. And so this isn't just for men. That's a great example of what happened in 2017 as an archetypal energy for a lot of people. We got a taste of abundance in a certain area, whether it's financially, relational, health-wise. I know I think back at that time when I say that, I was very healthy. I had a gym partner, and that's the last time I had a gym partner. Well, that's not true all the way. I have had other girlfriends to play tennis and hot yoga with, but that specific time was the last time I was like doing chin-ups, like with one of my girlfriends at the gym. We were dedicated every morning. So health, wealth, relationship, this could have been a home. This could have been a location, travel. What was really abundant in your life in 2017 that you just were not ready for, so you couldn't anchor it? It didn't last. That job didn't last. The marriage didn't last, vacation, all of it. So we cannot level jump in spirituality. You can't. You will go through the trials, the flame, the tribulations, the lessons until you're able to finally hold it and anchor what is rightfully yours. Okay? Otherwise, you'll blow it. Otherwise, you will, it reminds me of being a steward, stewardness. You have to learn that, okay? So that's where this started. Backtrack a little bit more. Whenever Trump got in office, I believe it may have been around, these timelines here. There was a huge shift that we all felt, right? Okay, so we're going back to that time. Then we fast forward to spring, summer of 2020. Does lockdown sound familiar to you guys? Okay. Sure, you weren't holding any of the abundance that you had from 2017 at this time. Because by 2020, relationships really started to change. Okay. Then fast forward to spring and summer of 2022. So at that point, you made the changes. You saw the physical manifestations of the work that you put in the changes, but it didn't quite stick. You couldn't anchor it yet. The lessons weren't quite done. You are not ready for the next level, Spirit says. Back up, okay? You need more experiences. You need more pain. You need more clearing. That's what Spirit said. So let's fast forward to the fall and winter of 2024. This time last year, we had an election that rocked this world, okay? With speed. This is where, if we go back into what I was saying not long ago of how you feel there's instant karma being taken place, like instant, like things shifted to where it's instant and fast. Okay, so, and I'm just gonna say this because this is the truth. MAGA still didn't learn, nor did the church. So we as a collective in this past year have needed a little bit more pain and suffering, you could say, within the planet for it to change to the level that we need it to, for us to get it, for us to become unified. We're not there yet. Why? Because we aren't really taught higher dimensional thinking or discernment. So let's bring this into biblical times or Bible prophecy of they call it the Antichrist. I say Antichrist plural. I see the Antichrist spirit in common folk all around us. This is something I'd argue that we can hold within ourselves. You could say we can bring it right home. That's how vast it is. The Christ and the Antichrist within us all. It's a choice. And fundamentally, what I see is that the Antichrist is anti-choice. Well, the Christ consciousness is choice. You have a choice to choose compassion. You have a choice to be a creator or a destroyer. That's yours. You have the freedom to do what you want, to think how you want. And that's a power that requires responsibility and choice. And so the Christ consciousness is not only about choice, it's also about unconditional love, which is in the higher heart chakra, not just your heart. Because let's be real, ladies, when you get married, are you going to marry unconditionally or with conditions? We love to lie and say, oh, I'm going to love my husband unconditionally while you're getting beat up and sent to the hospital. You're going to hold that lie and stay in that and say you're going to unconditionally love this man who is hurting you and harming you. So be real, ladies. We love on condition. When you go get married, there are conditions, and that's healthy. It's healthy to meet a man and say, look, I need X, Y, and Z to be with you. You're going to have to love me. You're going to have to respect me. There's going to have to be reciprocity. If you cheat, I'm not down for that, and I will leave you. Maybe, and this could be healthy too. You're a woman that says, if you cheat, I don't know how I'd respond. I might forgive you and stay with you. I might not. That's healthy too. I don't judge women that stay in cheating relations. I don't judge it. You have the freedom to. But let's be real. In the third dimension, we love on condition, usually unless it's your child. And then the child grows older and into an adult and talks back to you, and you no longer hold that. Now you hold them with conditions, and that's healthy too. You get my drift. The higher heart is what Christ talked about, the Christ, you could say Jesus, Yeshua, tried to help bring to earth the concept of unconditional love, which is hard for us as humans to hold. We love out of our heart. A lot of us have huge hearts, okay? But the higher heart takes us higher. Just like I was saying, there's so many different truths. There's a higher truth, and there's truth. So the Christ consciousness is rooted in unconditional love, and I call this unity consciousness. So what's the sky reading? We are shifting towards unity consciousness, Christ consciousness, coexisting in unity and love for our brothers and sisters that are different from us. What's the opposite? Because the third dimension has polarity within you. What's the other part of yourself? Is that there's a destroyer within you. Sometimes we call this the Antichrist. A lot of times the destroyer is rooted in ego, a need to control. Perfect example of this is the United States president, which people love. That exists. Where am I going with this? Fast forward. Let me retract here. Where am I going? I get so upset. It's mania. But it's part of our existence and a reflection that's within us all. That's the truth. Have you, I'm going to take a time out. This is why. Spirit will stop. Have you met a MAGA person that you really love and like? And maybe you're drawn. Maybe at work you are partnered, you have a project you have to work on with MAGA and you're dreading life right now. But here's the truth. From a higher consciousness, can't you see yourself in this person? Can you? Or are you separate still? That's something that I've been checked on recently with this whole MAGA thing, because it pisses me off. But one thing I've learned is that when I look at MAGA people, I see myself. I see parts of myself that are wounded. I see parts of myself that hold resentment. And so I've shifted in my mind, and this is what I encourage us all to do, and you have to at these times, is you have to see the higher truth in the unity. So both exist, is where I'm going with this. But it's up to us to unify and choose the higher vibration, if this makes sense. We're both, but it's a choice to choose the higher vibration, to choose the love, to choose the unity, to choose human rights for all. That is what we're at the precipice of right now. And some of the greatest challenges will come when there is this change in power. That's why it's been so intense, everyone. Because it's a choice and it's an integration that we all are called to do at this time, to be unified and brought together so we can coexist, not take each other out. Okay, so back to where I was. We were not taught higher dimensional thinking or discernment, and our culture favors illusions over higher truths. Our culture favors, celebrates, and honors separation versus unity. I'm right and you're wrong. Reminds me a lot of the conquistadors and colonization. I have the right religion. If you don't follow, there's a consequence. You're going to burn in hell forever, eternally. But you have a choice to take this God as your Savior and your Savior. Just say it. Just announce it. Just do this. And you're right. Now you can sit with us. I remember being a young girl going to the Catholic Church, and I said, "Can I take communion? Because isn't that what communion or community is?" And no, you have to be part of the cult to break bread with them. Okay, that's what is you're being called to have discernment. How do we discern energy? Is it high or is it low vibrational? Is it unity or is it divisive? That's discernment. So a lot of times they put the church, they're claiming that they're ministers of spirit and see spirit with their lens and consciousness, but they will then say that we don't know who we're talking to. We can't have real discernment of where we're getting our information from. This is why I'm here today to let you know you can know. You're getting this from your ego, you're getting it from a higher source. You're getting this from a lower spirit, you're getting this from a higher spirit. That is the language of spirit, and you not only have to deprogram yourself so you don't have a lens of perception, you must understand the vibration in your body that you are wired to detect. How does that vibration feel? How does it hear? How does it sound like? What does the vibration taste like? What does the vibration see look like? That's how we discern energy. Okay, and that's up to you. So our culture is really pushing for us to all do the same thing and divide. Now let's go into the present timeline. You may have felt this transit starting last May and August. So I think astrologically, August 17th. What were you doing that day? What were you thinking? What was going on? What were you planning? But you may have really felt that shift in May. Okay, bring it back into the comet. They first detected it July 1st. So we're sitting in this timeline of last summer. So since then, you may have, now I'm going to take a time out here because some people, they're ahead of it. You might find if you're listening to your astrology, obviously your rising sign is going to be the most accurate because that's your character in the matrix, followed by your sun sign, then your moon sign. But you may have or notice that you feel the effects of what's to come before it happens. A lot of times these are people that we would say are on time. They live according to their life contract. They're ahead of it. They've got a little bit of time to catch up before they miss something significant. Now, there's also those that have no awareness of any of the things I'm talking about right now, and if that's you, that's okay. But do you ever feel like you're on a crunch or always on a deadline? Procrastination could be really a sign of trauma than being lazy. So I don't want to say you procrastinate, but maybe usually, or you feel like you're always missing something. That happens when it comes to how energy affects us from the sky, from the earth, from the transits. Now, there's also those that like this week, they will feel exactly what I'm saying. You see where I'm going with this? We're not all on the same path here. Like some people have been feeling this, some people are just now feeling this, and some people will feel it to come. That's what I'm trying to break down for you. So you may have already felt or will now begin to, Jupiter, Saturn, feel like your growth and expansive plans have slowed down. So the slowdown, the shutdown, all of it is so that you can re-examine things. Look at your philosophy more deeply, emotionally purge. Look and see from a spiritual and higher perspective of where you're mirroring to create the reality that you're creating and whether you like that or not. Okay? So you may have been, trying to take off on a business plan the past summer and it just couldn't go yet, but you know it's for you. That's why. Or right now, lately, things have just been like, it feels completely retrograded. Like it's not working for you. It's going to get more intense. So, how do we work with these energies? We try not to get as pissed off. We try not to get as angry. Okay. We go with it. It's destiny. Right now is the time to reflect. It is the time to re-examine things. Get on board. Catch the train, you could say. Okay? It's time for you to make a choice. And so sometimes that does kind of make things calm down or slow down. Now, moving forward, we will begin to feel the conclusions of this transit. I'm going to predict beginning of December and mid-March. So as per NASA, we will see this comet, this is about 3i Atlas, as the timeline shift. So we felt it last summer when it was visible. It's peaking. And then we'll see it again in December. And then with the transit of Jupiter and Saturn, we'll be concluding this energy into I want to say March 10th and 11th. So this week will be a shift to where things will either start to go more in your favor. You're going to start being rewarded. And then unfortunately, you will see others pay a heavy consequence. In other words, justice is about to be served. I got on my live radio show starting January, and I remember, I think that was my interview on the radio, and I was asked to give some sort of prediction or prophecy, and I was like, justice is coming now, now, right now, okay? And we will be paid out that justice into March of significant Jupiter expansive means and ways that help us to build a foundation in a newfound way for the collective. Okay, so take that step, everyone. The time is now. Let's talk about numerology briefly. Number 9 today, November 9th. 9 is the number of the light worker, of the service member. It's a call to serve. Number 10 tomorrow, destiny. Whenever I see 10, it's a destined point. It's a destiny timeline. Hands are off the wheel, the car is driving. And Tuesday, the 11th, the month of November. Just like the 1-1 looks like a pathway, that's exactly what 11 represents. It is a number before 12. 12 is a huge completion. It is so holy, that number. So it's a door and a pathway to take. Okay, so I truly, truly believe, and this is where this hope is coming in, is like I believe that all of these overlapping energies, especially and most significantly with the Pluto of Aquarius, in is that now is the time we will truly start to see the head become the tail, which is the Hopi prophecy. So it's those at the bottom rise, minorities getting into places of power, having businesses when that has been stolen from us and ripped from us, women rising into places of power when we didn't even have the right to not too long ago, justice for those that are falsely persecuted, which we've seen a lot of in the past few years. I always think of the Greta Thornbergs of the world, their sweet humanitarian self being arrested and demonized. That is what's happening. That is what's happening. All of you truth tellers out there, the scapegoats of your family that were exiled and kicked out, the ones that were called to go tell your family the storm is coming and they didn't believe you and everyone suffered. Some people died. This is the time where they'll be looking to you for what's going to happen. They'll be coming back to you and saying, I'm sorry, I didn't see. Your suffering will not go to vain. This is the time you get rewarded for following what Spirit called you to do, for standing up, Greta, when no one else had enough balls to do it. And she did. Okay, so we start to see that payout of the one that chose to stand in character, rooted in the higher vibration, love, fighting for what's right, fighting for equality. It's unfortunate we have to do that, but we do have to do that in this day. So we will see it, I think in a more louder way. We've seen it. And I'm going to get to that in a bit, but I'll go ahead and transition into it now. We'll talk about the masculine and the feminine rising. Okay, so we've never seen the healthy masculine lead us. We have not seen that as a collective. We have not seen the healthy feminine in places of power or rise. We haven't seen that on a large scale. We're very unhealthy as a culture and collectively. Right now, the world is, and I want to backtrack. We haven't seen the healthy masculine and the feminine come together. We have not witnessed that. We don't know what that looks like. Our folks didn't show it to us. Their folks didn't show it to them. We don't see it on TV. We don't even know what that looks like. Okay? And that is important that we are both healthy together. A lot of times I see so many women right now that are like really for the movement. They're ready to just kick the men off the planet. I'm just like, they don't know any better. You say, yes, they do. No, they haven't seen it. They haven't seen healthy men. They don't know. And what you don't know, you can't do. That's why education is key. But that's a choice. You have to choose to educate yourself and where you're educating yourself from. And I would recommend the energetics behind all things will really help you to understand knowledge on a deeper level. So right now the world is purging. We're going to go probably another hour on this one. Right now the world is purging outdated, old, white male reign of the patriarchy. Why? Because with them in charge, the toxic masculine, we are past midnight. If you don't know what that means, it is about the doomsday clock, where scientists predict nuclear warfare. We're past midnight. That's why. Because if we leave it to toxic men, if this continues, they will destroy every last bit of life. They will destroy their homes, themselves, and our planet. Toxic men hurt children and women and target the vulnerable and weak, like refugees, immigrants, and trans community. Does this sound familiar? Trump is the archetypal energy of the toxic masculine ego. He represents a lot of our neighbors, fathers, brothers, cousins, and husbands. And if it continues, this is where the ETs step in. So how does it all play a role in aliens or otherworldly beings or angels, you may call them, okay? This is where they step in to intervene with our free will, because here's another big law. What affects one affects the whole. And this is how ETs are involved with Three Eye Atlas. Is I'm not claiming that it's a spaceship or even sent by them, but what I'm saying is expect more disclosure. This is signifying the messages from the heavens, you could say, that there will be intervention. And I think a lot of the disclosure in the ETs and some of the drones we were seeing, and with this, the creation of what is Space Force, um, with all of the disclosure coming out, all the pilots that speak about what they see in the sky and the military, it's like there's going to be a lot of that that unfolds, but I'm trying to say why. It's because we're taking each other out. I don't feel that there are destructive ETs that are going to come and try to take the planet. Like there are dark extra ETs. There are dark otherworldly beings. You may call them demons or what have you, dark force entities that exist. But the good guys or the angels or the high vibration ones, they intervene. They don't want to. They want to help us. They can guide us, but they will intervene if we are like on the brink of warfare to where we're trying to blow it up and leave the planet type of thing, escape to Mars and drop the nuke. You will see them intervene, and the dark ones on Earth in flesh will not prevail. The light will win. I do firmly believe that. Many prophets do. Many prophets see it. So with that, again, how does it play a role? It's signifying that ETs are going to come forward more, and that's going to change society. That's where I say it's time to get on board. It's time to hop on the train, because when the ETs it's being normalized right now since the pandemic. We're becoming more normalized because there's a grief period that comes with it, of grieving everything that you were once taught. And then also spiritual awakening, which the ETs trigger. Spiritual awakening often accompanies psychosis. So some people won't be able to handle the truth. You have to understand that, and that's a hard message to give, but some people will not mentally be able to handle the truth, especially the elders that have cast their children out of their tribe because of a belief that they now find out is not true. What that does to the human being is a lot in a very negative way. So we're going to see more and more of that. And as I say, hop on the train now, or it's too late. Number one, relationships. I talked about the feminine and the masculine. The women are rising into places of power. And this is also the feminine and masculine within yourself. So the divine union of both hemispheres of your brain, hemisync, okay? The integration of the left and right sides of your body, the yin and the yang. Your feminine, masculine within you is changing, as well as on the outside. Remember, it's a hologram. And we can see the physical manifestations of this, and this is where I get really excited and proud. Like we've seen more and more women rise to places of power in business. When I was growing up, I didn't really know women entrepreneurs. If I ever saw someone have a business, it was usually men. Now you see it so much more rapidly, and that's beautiful and that's amazing. We also see it with revolutionary leaders. Now, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to say this very clearly. I am not Democrat. I am not Republican. I think that politics are a cult. Okay. But when I discern high versus low vibration, I'm very proud to see women in politics that fight for choice and equality, such as the movement led by Jasmine Crockett, AOC. Check out the Prime Minister of Barbados. She gave an amazing speech not too long ago over the summer. When Trump showed up, his was awful, but Prime Minister of Barbados, amazing speech. Go check it out. This is where I say be mindful. Senator Elisa Stoltken, hope I said her name right, because I say, some people say, oh, she's scandalous. She works for the CIA and all that. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at what she's saying. What she's showing up to deliver is what I respect, which is a fight for equality. All Trump's attacks on Black women and Black journalists, okay? I say that because look at what that is. It's a last hurrah to try to stop us. And of course, the men are rallied right behind them. Look at Letitia James, Democratic Women's Caucus, the DNC, what they're standing up for. Lisa Cook, the list continues of women rising and fighting for places of power throughout the states and the world. Where not too long ago, that wasn't even legal. And in some places in the world today, still is not legal. Still is not legal for women. Okay? Makes me very proud that we are fighting up to protect our rights, our voice, reproductive, and healthcare. Now, there are many women that tend to be a lot of times more in the older generations that will not stand with us. And it's very clear to see. And a lot of times this is because of religious indoctrination that they hide under to feel good, to feel right, to feel and the list goes on, deserving, better than other people. I want to give an example of energetically what this feels like to be in 2025 going into 2026. And in the Bible Belt as a mystic. I got into an Uber the other day, and the driver, I always have extremely crazy experiences everywhere I go. It feels like this isn't like extreme crazy, but she seems, I wouldn't say nutty, off. Okay. And so she's going on and 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 on, rambling, and she's her sisters and her sisters in the Lord were, all gathered and went on this vacation. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Time out. Why is that a problem? It's a separation mindset. Those good ones in the church versus the rest. aka the conquistadors, the colony, and the rest. She goes on to tell me that she took a trip to Greece and it was so beautiful. How she loves their society so much, how they take breaks and days off on Sundays, and everybody's happy and communal, and the food's good, and everybody seems healthier and happier. But she didn't like how they have so many false gods, and she sees right through all those false gods and blah, 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 blah. And I said, you know what? I said, time out. My whole body got tense. You could feel her need to defend and say what's right, and she sees through it. It wasn't me. This was me feeling her energy, and it's rigid. It's dense. I see a lot of Christian men. I just like they're dense. It's just flesh, not soul. It's not light. It's dark. Okay, it's dense flesh, and that's just how it felt. It took over my whole body. Her need to all those false gods, and then she goes on. Blah, blah, blah. There's just the one Elohim, and yeah, and she starts talking about in Hebrew names for God. And I wanted to, I didn't go into, let's say, Israel's the con artist, pretty good one, and they've made their bed, they'll lay in it, and their bestie, America, could too. I didn't go there. But what I did say is that in Greece, a lot of times, and this is a black woman, even back in Africa and African spirituality, when there are many gods, it is more of an archetypal pattern that represents the human. For example, let's take a woman. She's a mother, she's a wife, she cooks, she cleans, she has a business, she's crafty. So she has the matriarchal archetypal energy. She has the nurture archetypal energy. She has the warrior spirit in her. She has the homemaker, the craft, the artist. She's an artist. She's an athlete. I mean, we are comprised of many, many parts of us. And that's one of the first lessons I learned as a medical intuitive, reading people for myself, is that I saw that us as humans, we are deeply fragmented. And in fact, we're a fragment or fractal of God. It's like a computer system, and you're a piece of data, and I'm a piece of data, and it's all one source. We're all just in the simulation like that. And the source evolves through us. But through diversity, which is the great symbology of having many gods like this, the mirror of yourself. And so I said to her, I said just that. I said, it's more of an archetypal energy of, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're an artist, you're all these things. And so you can evoke the part of yourself that's the nurturer. If you're struggling with your kids, it helps you to love more deeply. Let's say you have a business as an artist, you can evoke the right side of your brain and channel as you make your art. Now you have a business and make money and feed your family. It is good to evoke these parts of ourselves, to know thyself and to integrate, because it becomes a skill then. Now I'm just going through life. I'm giving the nurture, I'm giving the wisdom, I'm making the crafts, I'm the warrior here, I'm the athlete, so it's a oneness of all of these parts of us. And then I concluded with her, and she was rigid. No, there's just the one true God, and I know it, and nobody can fool me, and blah, blah. I said, there's something we can learn from their society and religion, because it seems to be, as from your mouth, doing pretty good for their society. They're more at peace, right? They're more in community, right? Versus what's wrong with America? White Christian nationalists and a lot of black people too. What's wrong is that is fundamentally what rules this society. It is deemed right, it is deemed righteous and acceptable, and anyone else is demonized and shamed. Fundamentally, that is what is the chip in everybody's mind, is a religion rooted in diversity. I'm right, you're wrong. One God, highway, burn in hell. That is what's wrong with today's society. Indoctrination has infiltrated every level of our society, every level. And that's why we're a lot sicker as a culture than they are in Greece. Some women will not stand with us and they'll hold on, and it will be painful for them in the end. Okay. It's painful for us now. We're the bottom of the barrel right now. We don't get that extra help. We don't get that extra support because we're not that title and we refuse to submit to it. The head becomes the tail, and not everyone will stand with us, ladies. But what we will see is healthier or refined masculine will stand with us. So through all of this darkness, men start to see and appreciate the healthy feminine more. And this helps men become more healthy themselves. So I like to see this kind of metaphor as with what Trump represents is an antichrist of bringing unity in a way. Because we've seen Republicans and Democrats alike come together and say, something isn't right, this isn't right. We are seeing Republicans and Democrats come together and say, look, I've been this role and title for so long, but it brings people together in unity. We are getting a spanking to the point of where it's like, enough. Do you ever have like your mom or dad or grandma say, enough, stop with the foolishness, enough? That's what this is bringing us to. So that's a very positive as well. You'll see a lot of men very proud of women rising to places of power, their wives going out and having businesses and ministries, versus the Andrew Tates of the world, who deep down don't want a woman to have more power than them because they can't stand it. They don't know how to work with it. They're intimidated by it, and they're insecure to where they can't have a woman outshine them. If you didn't know who Andrew Tate is, a lot of men believe and think like him, believe what he promotes, which is an oppression of women. It truly is. He believes, and this is a quote, this is a conspiracy, I saw him say it, that he doesn't believe women should be judges because, quote, look now as what has happened, that we have transgenders. They vote into laws, diversity. So that will fall, and that'll be very painful, those type of men. And I'll give you an example of the mirror that men like Andrew Tate will create. I'm not going to speak on the prophecy of what I see for this person, but I will say and forewarn any man that follows that toxicity, this is bigger than you. This is bigger than me. My transmission here. I'm not the only one that sees this. The Hopi prophecy is a long old prophecy. Biblical prophecy does talk about revolution, okay? It's a symbol for these times. Christians have been waiting for Jesus to come back. Jesus is here within us, okay? It's a consciousness. It's a symbol of time shifting. The best example of the fate of the egotistical, toxic man is Charlie Kirk. This man, if you didn't know, promoted public execution. He believed that there should be public execution, and quote, that should be televised for children to see. End of story. That's what happens to toxic men, and what they promote, they get. Now, I'm not saying that he deserved that. I'm not saying that. Nobody deserves that. What I'm saying is to open the eyes of the toxic masculine and say, be mindful of what you're promoting. You think there should be public execution that should be televised? If you didn't know, that will disproportionately affect people of color, specifically men of color, because that's what this system is already corrupt systemically targeting, systemically. It becomes a racial issue now, okay? We have to be mindful. Unity will win. Unity will win. The hatred will not. The division will not. The siphoning will not. Men that are healthy will begin to appreciate and respect women more, not just their wives, their daughters too, their sisters, their aunts, their friends, their female employees. Versus, this is the reality of what it's like for a woman, we are targeted as soon as we leave the door. I can't go down the street without having a conversation. Women walk around in fear. Men, if you didn't know this, I talk about masculine containment a lot because I think it's healthy and it helps men win and women. Right now, we don't have it. We don't feel safe. We are targeted and we are prey. So as this shifts, and that's what I'm saying, we don't see in the culture healthy masculinity. I'm trying to tell women, don't lose hope. It's going to take this dark storm for us to see the rainbow. And that's where equality will begin to happen, and we will step more into that union. Sacred union is a spiritual practice that's independent. If you didn't know that. The God and Goddess lives within all of us. Mother, Father, God is within each and every one of us. That's what you have to understand. Okay? It's a part of us. It's a wholesome that we come home in and we mirror it out. So I'm going to predict by 2036 there's going to be the rise of so what is that? It's about a 10-year timeline, a decade, where with the healthy feminine more in power, the shift and rising of healthy masculine together, there's where I start to see more of us standing in unity. I do see it. But if we get there, because let's be real, there's many ways that this can go. What to do with relationships? You need to clear these relationships. You need to let go. You need to release the resistance in your life. It's time to sign off. It's time to trust. It's time to focus forward. It's time to stop lying to yourself. Stop going to put a shoe on that does not fit you. You need to stand with people that support you. You need to stand with people that honor you and give you mutual respect, reciprocity. This is your time to connect with your soul tribe. It's also a good time to examine your relationship, not just with others, but with self, your habits, your beliefs, your patterns, where you're selling yourself short because you were taught to. You need to be kind to yourself. You need to love yourself. Choose to rest instead of hustle. And this is what I mean is in the past year, we've seen where it's like instant karma, right? We tried to do all these coping mechanisms and they don't work anymore for us. They got us along and, dragged us through to here. Now it's just not cutting it. And I'll give you an example. Let's say this is a big one, door dashing. You did that job because it was a means to money, but it was so toxic for you. You were getting in fights, you were getting sick, you were having all types of just horrible things happen. And it's like, this is a toxic job, and I'm not even being paid for what I deserve. You're selling yourself short. Okay. So, but you feel like you need to do it. And here's the thing, you don't get something else. You know, you need to do something else, but you don't. So what's been happening is like huge things to where it's like spirit will just take your car away from you. Drop a comment if you know what I'm talking about and how this is relating to you. Okay? You're in a relationship. Here's another example. Talked about work. You keep going to that job. Next thing you know, you're not only demoted, you're furloughed. And you knew for 3 years you should have got another job. And spirit takes away the job, takes away the building, takes away the car. Relationships. You knew 5 years ago that this relationship was causing you so much agony and pain. You became so ill, so broke, so angry, and you still wouldn't let go. And so finally, Spirit reveals to you that you've been being cheated on. This person's leaving you and taking all your money with you. It's extreme right now. That's what's playing out, and people are freaking out. We don't know how to even get through this. It is so tough right now, spiritually, where we can't hide. This 3i Atlas is about masks are off. Masks are off. Okay. So I think what I've learned through life, I'm a young person, but I would say it takes experience really for you and a skill and a level of self-love and regard for you to start making choices that really change your life for the better. Okay. It takes time, it takes growth. But right now, it's like Spirit's like, you don't got time. You're either going to go and make this timeline shift or you're getting left behind in suffering. So before you write into a psychic, should I get a divorce? The answer is yes. Should I change my job? Yes. Should I follow my dream? Yes. Should I go and get this new home? Because I think there's a horrible mold problem and we're all getting very, 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 very sick and we've tried for years to get it out. The answer is yes. You've been taught to stay in that home out of fear. So I can't afford to move. I can't afford. Fear constricts you energetically. It keeps you small. And you have to say that house with mold in it, mold can be can cause extreme health issues and diseases. Okay? And it's sad that we will stay in environments that kill us because we've been taught to settle, because we haven't been taught to deeply think. Sometimes people write into these questions of like, I couldn't get this through this because I don't have XYZ. So go over here and get it. If you really want it, there's so many other ways you can get it. But we don't think like that because we're not taught to think. So from an evolutionary perspective, Darwin, his belief is it says that basically our senses, our sensory system evolved basically just for survival. So not to see the truth is what he claims. And there's some truth to that. I think a lot of it's programmed in dogma, but it's very true because the truth is so hard to see. So he claims that basically we have senses so that we have enough sense to eat and drink and have sex, okay, to reproduce and carry on. And that's where we are collectively because it's too hard. It actually takes up a lot of energy to use your brain. I've tried to explain this to friends when I meet them, like that I tell some certain clients, like when I sit and channel, I have to go to the bathroom afterwards. That's very common. A lot of media channelers are very skinny or overweight. And it takes up energy to use your brain power. And there's no, some channeling can be possession, yes, but mental mediumship is there isn't a spirit within you. You're using intelligence. You're using your sensory system. So your metabolism is actually really, really working while you sit and channel. So it takes brain power. It takes energy. You're gonna have to eat. Okay, big channelers, we fast, but we have to eat. It's like, oh no, you don't have to eat. Breatharians. I'm just saying in general. Okay, that's a whole nother level. We'll see more breatharians. If you don't know what that is, go look them up. They are very interesting. People that go without food or water, they get their energy from breath, which is super fascinating. It's a very high level of consciousness and discipline. That's more along the lines of ascended masters. But we still hear of teachers like Jesus breaking bread, right? He still ate. Next thing, number 2, mindset. This is destiny. There will be a mindset change. So number 1 was there will be relationship changes. You're going to be signing off and you're going to be signing on to new ones. Number 2, there will be mindset changes. So we see a huge push in the human potential movement, which will change every last system as we once knew it. The academics right now are getting humbled. You'll see this, and we see it on podcasters all the time. Okay, they're getting humbled. They say, I saw podcasters, she had tons of degrees, and she was saying, are you saying I should just, with what you're saying, I shouldn't believe what I studied, and yeah. So the churchgoers are also getting humbled. So let's talk about let's say that we see more, it's the disclosure that's happening is more prominent and it's very clear. And they come out and say, yes, there are other worlds, there are other beings. It's going to change everything. All of the facts that we hide under in society and us truth tellers we couldn't get down with. And they put us on drugs to try to make us agree with it. That's medical restraint that happens to so many truth tellers. People that have multi-dimensional access to their brain struggle, and the mental health community does not acknowledge that, but rather medicates them. It's failing us. Not to say that some meds don't help. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as a collective, there's no, you don't go read psychology books, and say, oh, you're a spirit, and you have senses, and so when someone's texting you, you could be hearing their thoughts. And when someone's thinking of you in a higher dimension, there's no time and space between us. So you could be merging with their illness, merging with their thoughts. And that's why you're sick today. That's why you don't feel good. You don't feel good because you're sitting on a bed with a spirit attached to it that's dark. It's making you nauseated. There's nowhere in that, in the medical field, that acknowledges that. That will change. The facts that we were once told, our origins on race and human origins, and then the ETs come by, it's all changing. So everything in science and human origins, race, religion, all of that is going to change, which will lead us to questioning authority, the people that have been feeding us, and the education system. So that's where we fight then with resistance, because we will stand up to authority. Say, why did you lead us on this way? Why did you keep this a secret for so long? I remember when I was really starting to get into tapping into extraterrestrials, and what I found out is that militaries had these spaceships and these advanced technologies. They know about it. We just don't see it. Okay. We aren't allowed to. We're being controlled. So this is why they've got these people like Trump in place that are causing so much division and fighting, and we're really not focused on things of like what I'm talking about, is how you can make a deep change to your soul, heart, mind, and being through relationship changes, understanding the energetics of relationships and how they're at the root of prosperity, the energetics of women, feminine, masculine energy that we hold within us, how important your mindset is, your subconscious is to your reality, all of these things. That's what we should be focusing on right now. And then, like I said, it's like this is where I raise my hand because it's like this is the time where people, when the extraterrestrials come down, they're going to be seeking people like me. Whereas once they said, don't look at her, she's a witch, she's dark, she's demonic, she's sick, da 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 da. No, 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 no. She's hateful. Look at her, da da. And then they'll be coming around here and say, didn't you say? Didn't you see? Weren't you preaching? And yep. So the anointed ones are the ones that are here to teach and guide. And anointing is hard for people to understand. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making a video on anointing, specifically for parents first. I'm going to be talking about this week probably, or next week, how to discern that your child has an anointing and what to do with it to help them and yourself. Okay, because an anointing is something that is very hard for people to believe. I'll give you an example. A lot of times people will write into me and they'll try to give me background information, and I say I don't need it. They cannot believe it. And mainly because they've been to other psychics and they say they don't need background information, and it's a really dry reading. It's not connecting. Not everybody has an anointing. That's the truth. So the real ones, there's a lot of imposters out there. They're all over these tarot card YouTubers. They're all up in the church leading the crowds and the sheep. They're all over these doomsday cults claiming the world's going to end tomorrow. The only thing that's going to end is the darkness that reigns and siphons and steals. Okay? That's what ends. Not Earth. Earth as we knew it. Not Earth. Not unless we do it. So the veil becomes lifted and we're forced to see a higher truth. There's so much freedom and choice that comes with seeing higher dimensional truths that most don't even want to entertain it. It's easier to live a life that someone tells you what to do and how to think versus creating the idea of creating a new education system, solutions for our corrupt judicial system, creating new religions, new belief systems, careers, and innovative ideas. We don't even think like that. We don't think that we should. And that's sad. There's so much diversity. How many problems could we solve? How many solutions could we give to society if we teach children to be free thinkers and teach them to be authentic versus, okay, get on the school bus like they do going to the prison yard and sit at a desk and raise your hand to speak and get in line and you're on a time, someone else's time, not yours, instead of teaching children, freedom comes, wealth comes, and the freedom of time and presence and being able to be with your loved ones and enjoying good food and laughter and love. That's wealth. You know, and then we tell kids, then you go off to college. What are you going to do? There's art, there's English, language, there's math. There's about 5 different things you could potentially go into. Which one? Kid says, I don't want to do any of that shit. And he's, oh, you're not going to make it. And I was talking to a mother and she was saying, I'm just so worried for my kid because he doesn't want to go to college. I said, you didn't. Don't you have a hair salon? Well, yeah, your kid is probably going to be an entrepreneur. Like, oh, but I just want them to be okay. Well, here's the news flash. Most people go to college and get into debt that they never get out of. It traps them. They can never go on a vacation because they're working 17 years to pay off this, that, and the other. And then they can't get a job. And now we're in society with AI where the top scientists that study these programs will say in very short period of time, 99% of the job market will be replaced by AI. Now what? Now you've taught your child to go into debt. They have no job and they have to come back home to you. And it's like, and then that's taboo. And to American society is so cold. It is so cold. I believe I shared this, or it was on my radio show where I was like, I saw something. Where is it? It was along the lines of a mother saying, like, I think it was in India, like having a 30-year-old child that still lives at home with their family is an honor to the family. They always want to be near their child. Home is a castle, home is a sanctuary. In America, it's not allowed. It's not accepted. A lot of times we as young people need a hand. We need it. The world is failing us, these systems. People with all these degrees sleeping in their cars in California, we need help. We need our family. We need elders to invest in us. And they're so cold. They're like, some of them can't. Some of them can't. But a lot of times there's this push from the cultural parenting to be like, you don't need to be in my house. You need to go do your own thing. And let's say we go on lockdown tomorrow, they don't see their kid again. We need to get out of this. We need to support one another. We need to love our children being near us. It's important because fundamentally, this is what's wrong with society is the tribe. It's the home. Going off on a tangent here, but I feel that is still important to share because it's just like children should be celebrated for who they are and not told who they should be. That's what I'm saying. Why is because then they become an adult and it's hard out here. It's hard. And authenticity is a key to life. It brings mission forward, it brings purpose forward. So if you're watching this and you feel lost right now, so many people do. So many people do. Statistics will show you that there's been an increase of young people, even children, but younger people, humans in general, that are saying that they feel lost and confused and depressed. A solution for you today would be to give yourself the sacred space to say, who am I authentically? What do I want and why? And if you aren't able to, you haven't had a life of where you're like able to be authentic, you can never use your voice. It may take some time for you to get to a place, but a good way to get there is to ask why, behind why you feel you want something, because that'll show you if it's coming from you or if it's coming from mom and dad or someone else. For example, you might say, oh, this is big. I just want to be married. I just want to be a homemaker. If you're feeling lost and confused right now and you're doing what I just said, where you're trying to find what is authentic to you, and you say, you write down your wants and you say this, you ask why, you might all of a sudden see in your mind, in your three eye, in your heart, you might get a knowing, a memory. And it's like, well, my mom always told me growing up that women shouldn't work and that she should leave the home at 18, get married, and have kids. And that's an aha moment because then you're left with the choice of saying, is this really authentic to what I want? Or do I want this because I've been programmed to want it? Do I want this because then I'll get the approval from my mother that I never had? Do I want this because it's been told to me that that's the only way for me to have success or to eat in the world? And you start to break these illusions. And that's really, really significant to helping you to find purpose again, is authenticity. But you have to question everything and you have to see and understand. I always recommend study neuroscience to some degree, study biology to some degree, try to understand how the brain works. There's so many free resources on YouTube, and I'm not saying just from any Joe Schmo. Okay, find people that have actually studied this. They can psychologists that help you with complex trauma and how to move forward and understand like but the things I was saying, like procrastination, all of that, you're not lazy. You're not stuck. The brain is like a computer. It's programmed and it outputs, spits out your reality. And so how you break yourself free and you're feeling lost right now is because you don't align with the systems. You don't align with what your family pushed on you and you're alone. Oh no, computer's gonna die. I've been having all types of technical difficulties today. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to wrap it up and just make this quick and maybe continue. Drop a comment if you want me to keep talking about this, about like the subject of maybe I'll make a video on like how to find purpose and meaning. I'll take a note, okay? Number 3, unity consciousness. It's all about coexisting together with nature and ourselves. This is a big one. We're shifting to a cashless society with digital currency, which can make a room for more corruption and control over us. There is I'm going to need some more time to talk about this. So actually, I'm going to wrap this up here. Unity consciousness, I might make a part 2. How about that? And I'll start with unity consciousness because it's all about coexisting together. And this part is about where I see us headed, okay? And how it ties into unity consciousness and how we can make these choices to bring us back home into it. So I'll just leave it at that. You guys, if you follow me, I'm a very real person. You get what you see. Like this is me. Technology's gonna, and I'm not very great with the tech stuff. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that was helpful. I don't feel like we're gonna have this huge alien invasion. It's a timeline to say it's getting better. There will be more love in our culture. There will be more togetherness. There will be justice. And the sky and the heavens are saying it. So make the decisions that are good for you, that give you love for you, that follow your authenticity and help you to propel up. And don't be afraid. Speak out loud your fears because it makes them small. So a lot of times say, I want to do this, but then in the mind, it's all these things that say you shouldn't. When you speak it out loud, you're like, oh my God, well, this actually makes sense if I go this way. And I was just in fear. So say it out loud to yourself or in the mirror. Get rid of those fears or you will always hold yourself back. You'll always keep yourself limited and you'll never grow. You'll stunt your own growth. So don't do that. We have to fight the fear, fight the illusion, and choose unity consciousness. Stop dividing. Stop voting based on what these politicians that give a mirror of the hatred of humanness, human consciousness. For example, you'll see politicians that stand by a bathroom sign that says, I'm all for no transgenders, right? And it makes people go crazy because it evokes the part of them that wants division, that feels fear of safety being intruded on, okay? It's a tactic. It's a tactic. It's best for us to stand together versus apart. And that's what I'll leave it off today. 3-Eye Atlas. Good things are coming. Really good things are happening. The head is becoming the tail, and justice will be served. Thank you very much.